All right, so in 5.5, we are going to start solving logarithms. And the first type is where logs are going to be on both sides. So the first thing that you want to do is condense each side of the equation. So it looks like on number 1, the left side is already condensed, but the right side is not. So if you recall from 5.4, in order to condense this plus sign means I need to multiply the two arguments together. So this becomes log base 3 20, because 5 times 4 is 20. Okay, the second step is to set the arguments equal to each other. So since we have a log on each side, I can just cancel those out, which means I'm left with 4z equals 20. And I'm going to solve. So to solve for z in this case, I'm just going to divide over the 4. And we get z equals 5. And then you always want to make sure to see if your argument is positive, because if you recall, whatever is here must be greater than 0. So since my answer is greater than 0, then I am good. All right, let's skip 2 and 3. Let's go to number 4. So again, the first thing I want to do is condense. Now this time, I have a number in front of a log. That means that becomes an exponent with the 2. And then also, this addition sign means I'm going to multiply the two arguments together. Well, 2 cubed is 8. Let me write that first. All right, so then, like I said before, if you're adding, you're multiplying the two arguments together. So that becomes log base 5 8x, and then the right side is already condensed. Once each side is condensed, all you have to do is cancel the logs out, because you have one on each side. And then all you have to do is set your arguments equal to each other and then solve from there. So in this case, we divide by 8. So x equals 3. And since my answer is greater than 0, then I am good to go. Okay, moving on to number 5. Again, the first thing I want to do is condense. So this time I have a subtraction sign, so that means I'm going to divide the two arguments together. So log 6 divided by x, and then the right side just stays the way it is. The logs can then cancel out. I'm left with 6 divided by x equals 2. Now this one you just have to think about it. You're trying to figure out 6 divided by what number will give you 2. That must be 3. My answer is, in fact, 3. My answer is greater than 0, so again, I am fine. Okay, number 6. I have one log in each side, but I can't cancel those out yet because the 6 is actually an exponent. So I'm going to make that x to the 6th power. Now the logs can cancel, so I am left with x to the 6th power equals 64. Now this is where you probably will need your blue paper to figure out. You got to try to figure out what number to the 6th power is 64. That's going to be 2. And that answer is also fine because it's greater than 0. Okay, over on the back, let's see, I'm going to cross off 7. And that's probably good for now. Yeah. Okay, so again, number 8, it is not condensed yet because I have a number in front of my log that becomes an exponent. So that becomes an exponent of 1/3. Okay, so now I can cancel the logs out. So I'm left with x to the 1/3 power equals 125. Okay, so if you have 1/3, that's another name for the cube root. However, if you're not really sure what I'm talking about, to get x by itself, you need to move the 1/3 to the other side. And to do that, you're going to do the reciprocal, which we have done before in a previous chapter. So, we are going to flip that to a 3. So I take both sides to the 3rd power. Now, this is probably one that you need your calculator for. So if you put 125 to the 3rd power, it's going to give you a large number. Let's see. 1,953,125. All right, the next one. So just like number 8, there's a number in front of my log that becomes an exponent. So I'm going to change that to 64 to the 2/3 power. Now I can cancel the logs out. Actually, I cannot. There's a 2 there as well. That becomes 2 squared. Now I can cancel the logs out. So this is what we got so far. We got 64 to the 2/3 power equals x squared. Okay, we're going to have to type this in our calculator. So 64 to the 2/3 power is 16. Now, depending on your calculator, that 2/3 may have needed to be in parentheses. So if you don't get 16, that's probably why. So 16 equals x squared, which means x must be 4. Because if you take the square root of both sides, the square root of 16 is 4. All right, moving on to number 10. Okay, so I'm going to condense. So this addition sign means to multiply. Okay, my logs are going to cancel out. Now I'm going to, this one's a little different because I'm going to have to distribute the x now. So 2x squared minus 9x equals 5. Okay, from here I can only solve for x. I can't work backwards on this one because I have an x squared and an x. So I'm going to have to factor, which means I'm going to have to subtract the 5 over and set this equal to 0. Again, I can't work backwards because I had an x squared and an x. So I got a factor by doing the star method. The a's go here, the b goes there, a times c goes there. I want two numbers that multiply to get negative 10 and then add to get negative 9. This is actually going to be on your other blue paper with all the factors on it, but it's going to be negative 10 and positive 1. And it just so happens this one's fine. So in my parentheses, I'm going to write down 2x plus 1. And this can reduce to 1 and a 5. Negative 5 actually, x minus 5. And then to solve, I'm actually going to set both of these equal to 0. This one's going to give me 5. This one's going to give me, let's see, if I subtract 1 from 0, I get negative 1 divided by 2, that's negative 1/2. But since it's a negative, I cannot use that one because I only want answers that are greater than 0. Okay, 11 and 12. All right, so again, this means to divide. So 625 divided by 25. That's an exponent. And that becomes log base 5h squared. Okay, now that each side is condensed, the logs cancel out. Let's see, with my calculator, 625 divided by 25 is 25 equals h squared. And then I just take the square root and get 5. 5 is my answer to that one. All right, last one. Again, I want to condense. The subtraction sign means I'm going to divide the two arguments together. So I have log x plus 5 divided by x minus 1 equals log 4. The logs can now cancel. And what we have here is a proportion. I can't do this one exactly like I did 11 because I have a variable on top and bottom. I don't have two numbers that I just can divide. So I'm going to make this a proportion. So I have one fraction on the left, and then I'm going to make this be one fraction on the right by putting a 1 there. What I'm going to do from here is put parentheses around those because then I'm going to have to cross multiply. I'm going to take 1 times x plus 5, and then 4 times x minus 1. So really my fraction just goes away. I'm cross multiplying. If I distribute, I get x plus 5 on the left, 4x minus 4 on the right. And from there I just solve my equation. Move my x over to here. Add my 4 over to here. And then divide by 3. So x is equal to 3. And it's not negative, so that is a good answer to have. So that was again 5, 5.